Just for in terms of they do a good job of running the ball. They know that they've established their identity this part of the season. So you can see they're a run first team and they mix in the play action pass. They have a quarterback that could get them in and out of good run plays and give them the right looks for pass games. So it's a good combination, and then they're a solid defense. So to me, it falls right in line with what you would think with a defensive head coach. Hey, make sure we can run the ball, and they got two backs that can run it. They got good O-line in terms of, there's a mix of some youth and a little bit of experience, but relatively, a younger group, so you can see them being together for a while. So it's the right combination. And then you count that with the receivers and the tight end. 88's really coming on. I've been real impressed with him. Mike is Mike. He is what he is. He's a go-to guy for them. And, after the hamstring injury, you can see him. They're really trying to get him involved with the offense. And, it's good to see Shep out there playing. I was with him at the Giants. But they got a good mix. And the quarterback's the trigger man. He makes it go. And you can see how he has full command of the offense at the line of scrimmage, which is impressive to me.
What kind of challenges does Baker Mayfield present?
Once you get, again, I hate sounding like a broken record, but once you see a quarterback to get in and out of the right play, especially when they get you into the right run play, to me, that was always the most impressive throughout my career in the league with what Tom would do, what Peyton Manning would do, Eli, Aaron Rodgers, those guys. Again, I don't know. I wish there was a statistic for that, but to get them in the right run play, that's always key. So you see that happening, whether it's, from the motions, boom, he checks the play, or he sees a look that he likes, and then he gets them to a run, and they have the backs to do that. So that's one thing. Then the second thing, the arm strength, the arm talent's there. He can make every throw, and you can see that he trusts his arm. So, he's willing to stick it in there versus tight windows. He does a good job of, putting it on the right shoulder for the receivers. He does a good job there. And then he can throw the ball down the field as well. So to me, he has full access to the field because of his arm strength. He has full access to his field because of his knowledge of the game. So that's always impressive and poses a issue for us, and we got to be on our toes. This is a top 10 offense, in almost every category, So it's a big challenge for us.
One of the best. They're one of the best teams in the league, both on third down and in the red zone. What are you seeing that separates them maybe from some other teams in those areas?
For me, it's the ability to run the ball because they'll mix in the run on third down, so you got to be alert for that. I always thought that was one of the tougher things once you get in those situations where, most of the league, once it's 3rd and 2+, you're dealing with pass game. That's just historically what you're dealing with in the league. But once you involve the run game and the dynamic ball carriers they have, now we got to respect that. We can't tee off the way we wanted to, so you got to be mindful of that. And then to bring that down to the red area, if you could run the ball in the red area, that's the best thing you could do because the windows are tighter, the throws are a little bit tougher, so it's easier to just run the ball. So that, to me, it all starts with the run game and and with those backs and how the O-line's blocking. They got a bunch of big guys up there that can move bodies. They do a good job staying connected on their double teams. They pass off movement. They're working well together. It's an impressive group.
As being such a physically imposing corner, physically imposing receiver, what do you preach to your cornerback room of how to cover a guy like that?
Don't come to me complaining about push-offs. it is what it is, man. It is what it is. You hope somebody's listening, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is. You just got to put respect on it, just like, Birdman say, you got to put respect on it. You got to be ready to play strong through the move area and be ready for them. He's been doing it for a long time. So there's a challenge there. Got to understand where his move area is. Understand, you got to really dive into the tape and study, what routes, what do they like to do with them in certain spots. So that's all important right there. But main thing is I don't hear any complaints, man. Man, he's earned that. He's earned that. So he could do what he has to do out there.
You spoke a little bit about the running backs, but particularly Bucky Irving, who had, I think, close to 185 yards from scrimmage last week. How do you look at a back like that and try to prepare a defense against him?
The biggest thing with both of their backs, they're both pretty dynamic, and they get their yards in the run game. It's again, we always talk about off-schedule plays with the quarterback. They make, if there's a 2-yard gain there, they can make it into a 50-yard gain real quick by testing your leverage and your pursuit angles as you're trying to chase these guys down. So both of the backs, to me, have really good vision. They have real good contact balance in terms of when they're getting hit. So for me, it's really just about, we got to do a good job of setting the edge like we always talk about, playing with power on the inside, and then your pursuit angles have to be right. If your pursuit angles aren't right, it could be a problem in the run game. It could be a problem in the screen game. And then the thing, again, I mentioned this about Baker, how he's finding the checkdowns. You have to respect their speed and their size as the receivers off the play action, but then he's finding the checkdowns, and those guys are dangerous on the checkdowns. So it's a combination of things of how they get him the ball, but you can see really the identity of the offense through the vision of the head coach. It makes sense. Defensive head coach, that's how, that's how you would want it to look like. Exactly how you would want to look. That's how you would want it exactly to look like.
After the, Chase on, he had a sack and a half against the Chiefs after the game. He said it was really just all about trusting the rush plan. With that being said, those other three guys on the other side of Max, how imperative has it been for them to really step up, and how have they really been able to feed into success of why you've been able to get quarterbacks down?
The biggest thing with the rush we've always talked about, it's really fluid. So whether you're rushing four, especially when you're rushing forward, there's always the possibility of exchanging gaps and rush lanes. So they do have to trust one another. They have to work together. And at times, sometimes it takes time. So to me, when we're rushing forward, especially when we're rushing forward, there has to be a trust level of, okay, if I get high here, you're going to counter back. If I'm staying low, you're going to be on top. So there's always a trust factor with that, and it takes a little bit of time at times. You wanted to move along quicker. That's what we always talk about. Everybody, we're not the most patient people in the world, but there is a trust factor that goes into it, and it's going to be imperative this week because Baker can make something out of nothing with those loose plays because he's pretty good in the pocket too in terms of how he steps into the pocket, avoids the rush. You see a bunch of free runners at him at times, and he makes a miss and gets his eyes downfield and throws the ball. So that's going to be important. We have to eliminate the explosive plays, and that's one way the quarterbacks can get that.
Kind of to that point, last week against Kansas City, we saw the NASCAR package. How does it help you as a coordinator when you throw those four defensive ends on the field at the same time? And what does it do for the defensive ends that don't necessarily get as much playing time when they all get out there at the same time?
It's real important for guys to buy into their role. I think AP talked about it last week. You got to buy into your role. So if your role is to get 5 snaps, those better be your best 5 snaps. You got to take advantage of that. So, the guys that aren't playing that much and they get in there on the package, you got to own your role right there. And then as far as putting more DNs out there, it's just the league's just different, man. They all can scramble. I remember when I first got into the league, you're talking about maybe 4 or 5 quarterbacks. Everybody else, you throw the orange dot out there, that's where they were standing. And it's a headache, man. It's a headache. Every week. It's every week. You see how my whole demeanor changes. It's every week you got to deal with these dudes, man. And it's not getting any better because all the dudes in college I see when I watch 5 minutes of college football, they can all run too. So, yeah, fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, it seemed like there was a few more long balls that you guys were throwing against the Chiefs on Friday. Was that a concerted effort, or just sort of how the game played out? And what are some of the things that you're looking for to maximize that kind of a play?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, I would say. I think, to be a successful offense in the NFL, you got to throw the ball down the field. You got to use the field. I think, our guys, they did a great job of getting off the ball, and really attacking the secondary. I thought our front did a great job in protection, and Aidan did a good job of putting the ball, getting the ball out of his hand first off, and then accurately where guys could go make plays. So it's always not just the quarterback, it's not the receiver. It's a combination of everybody. But yeah, we that's how we want to play on offense. It's not every team is going to allow you to do that. If you want to be good in this league, you got to win different ways. So, yeah, but that was something that we felt like, we could do, and the guys did a really great job of playing fast and executing the plan.
Not asking to give away secrets, but on any given pass play, is there baked in a long threat all the time, or is it just a play that's
not on any given pass play, but there are some, where whether it's your first read or whether it's an alert that you get if you get a certain coverage. But no, I wouldn't. It's not every play.
You talked about getting the ball out quickly, and that seemed to be when you had the most success. Really, the most success came when back foot hit the ground, first read was open, hit it. Like, is that how you want the offense to kind of operate, to be able to go that way?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get the first read open every single time, but you know, it's difficult. But yeah, of course, that's when we spend a lot of time to designing plays. Like we're trying to make it as easy as we can on the quarterback and the offensive line, and that's for him to get the ball out quickly. And a lot of times, like quickly, it might not be like seconds on a clock, but it's like what you're saying, like maybe it's a longer drop, but when the back foot hits, the timed up with the protection, the ball's coming out. That's ideal, you know. And then, you know, I think Aidan did a really nice job on some of those plays where we didn't get the desired look, and it got out of his hand, and we got some completions. Some guys, we had a hot throw to DJ Turner where he got the ball in space and made a couple guys miss, and that ended up being a chunk play. So when you kind of design things to go a certain way, but then, you know, we have a plan if it goes bad and the guys execute it, it makes you more willing to continue to call plays like that.
Brock Bowers was named Rookie of the Month this morning. Knowing that teams are putting their best defender on him a lot of times, can you talk about just his growth potential on how he's handled that and where he could go from here?
Yeah, he's got a very, you know, his standards for himself are very high, and he approaches it that way. So he works really hard. He doesn't think anybody, he would never say this, and he would have never said this to me, but I don't think he thinks anybody can cover him. And he gets frustrated when that does happen. I'm sure you guys have talked to him. You know, you're not going to get a lot out of him. But, you know, he's a very competitive guy. You know, you see him, his emotions come out on the field when he makes plays. We're going to try to continue to move him around. He's capable of that, obviously. And then the other guys, you know, it opens stuff up for other guys, which we've seen in the last couple weeks. And, you know, Brock, you know, he made a couple plays in the first half, but they did a good job. And then, you know, he got some plays in the second half of that game, and obviously got the big day.
Patrick Graham was talking about how some of the toughest quarterbacks to defend are guys that can get the team into the right play call at the line of scrimmage, in and out of a play based on what the look that they're seeing. How much of that is kind of coached up by you guys, or just something that somebody brings to the table in that regard when you're evaluating?
It's another thing that's a combination. You know, there's certain styles of offense. Some guys are just, you know, kind of build things into the play where they don't want a lot of thinking pre-snap and just want to play fast. But then there's certain plays where it's like, okay, you know, it's not going to be good, or a certain play that we design for a specific look that the quarterback can get out of. And I think that's something that happens with QBs, like as their career goes on. You know what I mean? They're able to see that. And also not just the quarterback though, but like a group. Like if you have an offense that's, you know, 7 or 8 of their 11 starters have played together for a few years, now everyone can kind of do that, because it's not just the quarterback. Like these are guys that are thinking, you know, for example, I'm running hard off the ball to the left, and now all of a sudden they got to shift focus that they're pass blocking, and you know, there's more to it than just changing the play. You know,
You've been doing this a little while now. Do you feel like it's easier, harder, or the same to evaluate quarterbacks coming out of college in terms of translating from college to the NFL?
I think it's hard, and it's always been hard. You know, there's certain things that you look for, but there's so many factors involved. I mean, obviously the physical traits, but there's so much, like, I don't want to say like pressure, but there's so much that goes into playing quarterback and, you know, being under a microscope, and it's not just what you do on the football field. And, you know, that's a lot, and it's a lot for anybody, but especially like a young person. So when you get picked, especially if you get picked high, and then all of a sudden you're playing, like everything you do is going to be criticized. You can play great games, and they're going to pick apart the 5 things you did bad, or, you know, whatever, vice versa. So it takes a special type of person, and that is probably the hardest part of the evaluation process is, you know, seeing, you know, can they, because a lot of these college players that are great players, you know, they maybe lost 4 games. I mean, you know, everyone has adversity in some form, but not like the week to week adversity that you face in this league.
How important is patience then from an organization, a coaching staff, to understand that there will be that learning curve? And it feels like they shuffle through quarterbacks all the time.
Yeah, I think so. I think just understand that every case is different. You know, some guys are going to come in, and because of maybe the team around them or just how they're wired, they're going to, you know, catch fire. And then there's some other guys that maybe not. And then it takes them a little longer. And then there's some guys that, you can just tell that's probably not for them, And I think, like I said, I think you just have to be honest with your evaluation. And then you got to be, willing to kind of change that evaluation as you get more information.
Scott, yesterday we talked to Aidan. He spoke about how comfortable and how confident he was in you. Can you speak about your confidence in Aidan?
Yeah, he's a really smart, focused individual. He makes decisions on time, and for the most part, they're the right decisions. No one's going to be 100%. But I always tell him, if the ball's coming out of your hand, then I'm not going to be mad at you. I might coach you up on a different look, but there's always really good communication. He's not afraid to tell me how he feels about a call or a certain way we're doing a play, and then I'll give it right back to him, whether I agree with him or I'll explain to him why we have it a certain way, and then he'll get it. But he loves football. He's all in on it, and I think the more he plays, the more he'll continue to grow. But I wanted to give him a chance to make plays on Friday night, and he did. It was fun to see. Obviously, not the result we wanted, but there was a lot of really good things that our guys did. I was proud of them.
You look at the Tampa Bay defense, the head of the snake has kind of been Levante David, who's been there for a while. Can you just talk about, why he's been successful in the league for so long, and also do you believe that the Tampa Bay defense in general really resemble kind of what he brings to the field?
Yeah, Levante David, we've had some matchups with him in the past, different places that I've been, and really got a lot of respect for him as a player, both, just the mental side of it, his football knowledge, and then just him as an athlete. He's a good tackler. He's been really good in coverage throughout his career. He's a really, really good player. And then he's got the big guy, in front of him that makes it tough, and they got a good defense. Coach Todd Bowles is someone that, I've coached against in the past, and he really does a good job of keeping you off balance and bringing different looks. So, but no, those, I mentioned Vita Vea, and then Levante. I mean, those are two guys that have been there a decent amount of time, and two tough players to go against.
Obviously, the run game is a function of all 11 guys, but what has Sincere kind of brought to the run game that has kind of jump-started things?
He's really done a nice job of I talk about the quarterback. Quarterback's obviously the key decision maker everyone talks about, but the running back's also a decision maker because he decides where we're going to run the ball. Obviously we have a plan, but they got to use their vision, and he's done a really nice job. And Amir as well, ran the ball very well, but Sincere's been decisive. He's gotten the ball where it's supposed to be for the most part, and then he's done a really good job of not letting that first guy tackle him. And that might only be a 5-yard gain, but it's if that first guy hits you at 2, we get 5. Now it's 2nd and 5, and that makes a big difference for the whole offense. And he's done a nice job of getting those 11-yard gains. Him and Amir both, where it's now you're getting a first down, and getting to 1st and 10 is huge.
Rocky obviously has the talent, but as a rookie, he's seen a lot of different coverages. Is there anything that you see during the week with his preparation or ability to study an opponent that allows him to have some of the success that he's having?
Yeah, I mean, he takes care of the studying the opponent, and then just the way he takes care of his body. I mean, he really is, he's really all ball. He comes in, he's one of the first guys here every morning. I mean, you can find him late at night in the facility. I know it's like a cliche talk, but, whether he's getting treatment, getting his body's healthy he can be, spending extra time watching film, kind of looking at the players that he thinks are going to be matched up with him in man, just to find different ways to get that separation. And then, even the other thing we never talk about, and we asked him to do it, is he's a really good blocker too, and that being a tight end, you can't just play him as a receiver. So, that aspect of it, and he's very prideful in every aspect of his job. All right, thank you guys.